I'm Mary Lyons, the Wealth Woman.
And I'm Eric Alexander with Acorn Grove.
Welcome to the Wealth and Income Podcast. Today we have David Mozeika with us, creator, visionary, savings leadership expert. There's so many different labels I think I could apply. And he created a company called Currence. And what I will tell you is the most exciting part of this to me about having you on the podcast with us today, David, is I think you have cracked the code on personal savings. I think everybody knows how hard it is to save. Most Americans are not saving enough money, and you have figured out how to take people that find great difficulty in socking away capital and kind of flip the switch so that it becomes almost an addiction in a very, very positive way. So I want to start by asking you the big question, which is why do you think people are not saving as much money as they should be?
Well, first, I just want to thank you for having me and allowing me to speak to your audience. I'm grateful for the platform, grateful for all you guys do with your clients. But to answer your question, I believe that Americans right now have a savings rate of less than 4%.
Mm-hmm.
And that statistic is just blasted out there. It's like everyone always talks about it, but they never give you a solution how to solve it, which
Right.
is kind of like, thanks, it's like, oh, you're fat. And like, okay, well, then what do I do? Like,
Now what?
So I think that's a challenge, right? And it just becomes like almost like white noise in our heads. And I would make the case in my thesis is that Americans don't have a savings rate problem. Like, to me, that's a symptom, not the cause. Because if you have a savings rate problem, that means it's all about you and there's something broken about you and it's wrong. There's something wrong with you. That's not the case. It's a symptom of the problem. And what I believe the symptom or the cause of the problem is that Americans actually have a flow of funds problem, meaning their money is actually flowing in the wrong direction. So I can dive deeper into that if you'd like.
Yeah. Yeah, I want you to say more words about that.
Sure.
Because is it just a flow out? Because that's my money problem. It's a flow of savings. It's just flowing
it all
out.
goes away from me.
It's the world we live in is actually designed to take our money away from us.
Right.
Oh, I agree with that.
And it's so easy. There's so many technological advances and conveniences out there around how to spend your money. Right. I mean, it's amazing. I just went and got lunch and I just tapped my phone. Like, I couldn't even do that a year ago. And just like, oh, I just tap my phone and I can spend money. I mean, yeah, you have an Apple Watch. You could just tap your wrist. I probably have 3 Amazon packages on my front porch. Everything that we own now is like subscription based, right? Which is just the design of systematically taking our money away from us. And you can't even buy a smartphone without having to finance it or pay for it over time. It's really crazy. Right. So the world in which we live in is designed to take our money away from us. And it feels good to spend, at least temporarily. But the problem
you get a dopamine hit when you get something new.
Totally. And when you think about it, when you make money, right, most of us in this world are trading time for money, which means that time is really valuable, right? And if you think about it, what people are doing is they make money. And where's the first place you do with your paycheck? Where do you send it?
You send it right to the account that you're going to spend.
Yeah, it's your checking account. It's actually a spending account. It's designed to spend money and pay bills. So what you're doing is you're taking 100% of your potential wealth and sending it to this spending environment. And then what happens is, in the face of Amazon, Netflix, and your utility bills and your housing costs and your kids and sports and the vacation you want to go on and the car you shouldn't buy, right? Like, you have to then go fight all that gravity to go put money away. And the emphasis is on the manual effort of having to physically take money and put it away. It's literally like fighting gravity.
So this is the first time I was introduced to the Current software. I had this moment where I was sitting there. So I'm gonna tell you guys a true story. So I was at a conference and I was told that I had to get up early to go to a breakfast to learn about your software. It was not a choice that was given to me. So I was real mad, right? I'm like, everybody's going out to have beverages and I got to show up at this 7:30 breakfast meeting. So you've ruined my night, right? So I'm grumpy and I go in and I have a totally bad attitude and I sit down and I think Vince from your office was the person who was doing the presentation. And the more he talked, the more I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. This is what I've been looking for. And I went from being really grumpy that I had to be there to really grateful that I got to be there, because
Right.
I always feel like, and I think this is true for myself, and I've put some parameters around it, but nothing like this, is that when money goes into the account that you are going to use for your spending, savings is what happens last, not first.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you're constantly in this place where you have to give something up in order to put money away for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's who wants to do that? Right? It puts you almost immediately into a deprivation mindset, because I have to make a choice not to buy something in order to be able to put money away for my future. And there's a quote, and I can't remember who said it, but it's, most people trade what they really want for what they want right now.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think that is
Zig
the
Ziglar.
perfect example of that, because people will trade what they really want, which is security, a future, the ability to maybe spend their time doing things differently than what they're doing right now. But you're right. It is, the current system is stacked against us.
Yeah.
And I think about, even just saving into a 401k. The beauty of that is that people never miss that money because it never hits their spending account.
Yeah.
Right.
So what kind of got me hooked on Currence is that all of the magic happens before the money hits your spending account.
Yeah.
So you're
Well,
not
Yeah.
even
So,
tempted to spend it.
yeah.
totally. And so what you're describing is the default order of operations.
Mhm.
Earn through manual labor, spend it, and then try to fight that gravity to save it.
Right.
It's really hard to do.
It's impossible.
Yeah. And so
That's why the savings rate is so low.
right. And so you sort of hinted on the world of budgeting, which is, to me, is like financial dieting.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yep.
It's
Don't eat
not
this. Don't.
fun.
Well, the problem on that, David, that I kept thinking through is, and Mary and I, you and I've had this conversation 4,000 times, but like I'm so sick of all the shoulds in my life. I should be doing this. I should do that. I should be a better whatever. I should, to your point, David, right? I should diet better, right? I should stop eating whatever it is. And I think savings on the other end of it is just another like, be an adult today.
Yeah.
Like, you
And
know what? Screw
math
you. I
and
don't want to
money
be
are
an
not,
adult.
yeah, math and money are not the same thing, right? So like
Right.
like it makes sense, but like it's just it's
Yeah.
it's just difficult. So
Well,
what
this
we
is the key though, David, because we talk about this all the time, is that there's tools which are really important and strategies which are really important, but the mindset is really where the magic happens.
yeah.
Because if the mindset is wrong, nothing else matters. So changing the mindset from, I got to fight everything and deprive myself so I can save a little bit of money for some unknown future, changing away from that to a much more positive mindset where savings becomes exciting and it's not about deprivation. That is one of the most important things you can do, because it puts you in the right mindset to actually start building something meaningful.
So yeah, so try this on for size, right? So what the only thing Currence does, and Currence, let me be clear, it's a structural solution. We're changing the default order of operations to a structural solution that actually has you save before you spend. So the way that we do that is all the Currence members that are users of Currence open up what's called a Currence reservoir, which is a cash flow reservoir, which is you as a client, as a member, it's your account, it's FDIC insured, you earn a high rate of interest, and all it does is lives between your paycheck and your checking account and your spending account. So that now all new money showing up in your life is automatically going into savings first. And then you choose now how much money leaves the savings environment to go to the checking account or the spending environment. So we talked about the manual effort and the challenge that it takes manual energy to actually fight that gravity. Now you're using gravity as your friend because you're collecting everything. And then you're just choosing how much money leaves that environment by scheduling what we call your spending baseline, which is how much money needs to show up in my checking account for me to live the life I'm currently living. And that's the starting point. Mm-hmm. That's where the magic happens. At that moment in time, when you connect your income and your spending environment to your new reservoir, it's as if unless you make another choice, if you don't make another choice, every future increase in income will automatically go towards savings.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes what we call unconscious savings. You go from having unconscious spending to now the inverse of that, which is unconscious savings. And then you have automatic accumulations taking place in your reservoir, and then you just live in a state of choice. Like I can
Right.
choose to spend it, but I have to manually do that, or I can choose to implement some other asset that's going to produce additional income above and beyond what I can earn through manual labor. And then it's like taking your car from first gear to second gear.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the magic and the behavioral shift takes place, is because you're choosing to spend. Now, compare that to budgeting, right?
Yep.
If Americans
I
are
just
only,
cringe when you say that word.
yeah, yeah, it's a terrible word. If average Americans are saving 4% of their income, what they feel, to talk to you about your self deprivation, is that I got to sacrifice, I got to skimp, I got to change the quality of my life to then try to put money away and do it manually.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what we're saying. We're saying start today as exactly where you are right now, and just allow the system and the structure to capture all the future increases in income to multiply your savings rate.
Right.
And if we did the math on that,
That's different.
that is very different. So we don't have to change our lives. We don't have to feel guilty for the sins of the past. We just live into the best version of ourselves.
I like that because it's about taking your current baseline and then growing from there. It's not about minimization. I mean, that's one of the things that I always have such an issue with, because when I think about traditional financial advice, it's all about minimizing your life. It's about spending less, it's about doing less, it's about accumulating less, and about deferring as much of your gratification into the future as possible, right? Where anytime you sit down with someone who calls themselves a financial advisor, all they want is for you to save more money so that they have more money to manage. And I do think savings is very important. So I don't want to say that it's not. That's the whole reason that we're having this conversation, is that it is important. But when you start getting into minimization and deprivation, what you do is you limit your life in so many different ways. And so if you have the ability, and again, like it goes to finding ways to trick yourself into good habits so that you don't have to be disciplined every single day. Because I think what you're really talking about here is, like, if I have to say no over and over and over again in order to put money away, at some point I'm gonna break and say yes. But if I'm not even putting myself into a position where I have to make the choice because it's already been made and it's all happening in an automatic way, then I have set myself up for success rather than setting myself up for failure.
Well,
So think about this, right? If you're somebody that saves about, 4% of your income, which is like the national average, right? And you set up Currence, right? So in other words, let's say your income is $100,000 for simple math, and you had $100,000 coming in, and $96,000 was going to your checking account. You're saving 4%.
right.
But let's just say you get a cost of living raise some point over the next 12 months. Well, guess what? Your income went to 104, which means now you're an 8% saver. You're double the average of Americans, right?
Right.
And then a year later, you're at like 112 plus a little bit more, you know? So that's how your savings rate explodes. And then you live in choice because you're always accumulating. You're always having control of every dollar. You're telling every dollar where to go. And then you just work with your financial professional team and you choose what's the best instruments to then add to your structure to actually accelerate that even faster above and beyond what you can earn through yourself, through your own manual labor.
Right.
What's
Well,
what's oh, go ahead. Sorry, Eric.
no, well, and it sort of reminded me, it's like waking up in the morning already at the gym. Like I've got to get in my
I've
car
been
and
looking for an
leave the
analogy,
gym.
like how to equate that to going to the gym. Yeah, that's 100%.
Right. I've got to do something to leave. I don't have to find the willpower every morning to like wake up,
Get up
put my
and go.
stupid shoes on and get in the
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
Right.
Magic. So I think this also helps with lifestyle creep. I mean, I feel like I've been reading a lot of
Yeah.
articles right now about lifestyle creep, and I think that is a very human thing. I don't know very many people that make 6 or even 7 figures that haven't had lifestyle creep.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is on stuff they don't actually care about.
100%.
Yep.
I mean,
And this helps deal with some of that.
yeah, I mean, it actually, what's interesting, it actually helps deal with all of it because when you default your all new dollars in your life to go to savings and you're choosing on a scheduled basis how much is going to spending, There's only just going to be so much money available there for you to live unless you choose to increase your baseline. So you have to manually
Yeah. You
take a
got to
conscious
leave the gym.
effort.
You got to
Yeah,
walk out the door of the gym and drive home.
100%. Yeah, it's almost like you got to quit the class halfway through the class and say, "Yeah,
Right.
it's not for me."
Yeah. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah,
Where are the donuts?
yeah,
Who brought donuts? Right.
I love it.
totally. Yeah,
So
and
you mentioned some.
the results of that is our users are saving 30% of their after tax income.
Wow.
Wow.
How much time does it usually take somebody to get to that?
It depends on where you meet them, but when you have awareness, right, and you looking at your cash flow structure and you say, okay, this is my income and this is how much I'm sending to my checking account. It's amazing that when you start to put every dollar in its place from a cash flow perspective. I mean, people have balance sheets and other things that you can look
Yeah.
at a moment in time of what you have, right? Like your investment statements are great, but they're only good for one moment in time. What we're doing is looking at the flows of money.
Yep.
So when you see how you're set up, you know, there's a lot of different things that when you work with your financial professionals that you can tweak. Like, maybe it makes sense to pay off your car, or if if you have a car payment and it's going to be paid off in July, well, and I was living on 10,000 a month, well, maybe I only need 9,500, and you just change the dial and scale back and then you capture the difference of the money. We've had clients who have young children and then they're going to be in school full time in September and they were spending $1,500 a month on daycare. Well, you just shut that off and all of a sudden now the reservoir automatically captures the money. So everyone's situation is unique. And, I just had a client that I'm working with that both the husband and the wife both got promotions within the same month
Yeah.
and their
Mm-hmm.
incomes went up substantially. And this was
Mm-hmm.
a couple that I met 18 months ago that literally opened the reservoir with $10. They couldn't save a dime. They're in their early 40s with two kids and they had good income. His income was a little lumpy because he was in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And so they started the account with $10. In 18 months, they saved $140,000 and paid off
Oh,
$30,000 of credit card debt.
What?
holy cow.
Yep. And now we're having conversations about fulfilling their dreams and the lake house that they always wanted to buy that they dreamt
Yep.
about. And we're shopping for vacation homes right now
Yeah.
because their
Yeah.
income just went up like $80,000. They both got nice promotions and they're saving $160,000 a year, and they don't miss the life. They're in love with the velocity of cash flow that they're
Yeah. They've
creating.
never been able to do that
Never
before.
been able to do that.
Well,
Well, but
here's
it's the
the thing
empowerment
that I
too. I
think is.
think, yeah, go ahead, Marie.
Well, I was just going to say the thing that I think is really amazing about this, and this is something that Eric and I go back to all the time, is that most people in almost all aspects of their life are living a life of default, right? They're just reacting to whatever is happening, doing the thing that's most urgent in front of them. And there's not a lot of strategy or deliberate, intentional action. And what I think is beautiful about what you're describing is that it pushes you away from that default mode into deliberate design.
Yeah.
And you think about
Right.
that story you just shared, it's someone that is living paycheck to paycheck, that's constantly stressed out. If they only have $10 to open an account with, right, they're probably thinking, why am I even talking to a financial advisor? I have no
Yep.
money to do anything with. And just this one shift radically changed everything about their life.
Yeah. So we set up their baseline spending, and he came to me and he said, um, I love it. I'm saving money. I see new possibility for myself. We started opening some investment accounts and put some insurances in place and really rounding out his financial life with the key foundational pieces that are needed. And he came to me and said, this is great. It's a little tight. I mean, meanwhile, he's like saving $120,000 a year at this point, right? I'm like, oh my
Right.
God, what's up? Tell me what's missing. He goes, his parents live overseas, and he's like, I haven't seen my parents in 4 years. And he goes, I just want to make sure my kids can see my parents once a year. Like, how do we do that? I said, here, no problem, right? I said, so how much is that going to cost? He said, about $10,000. I said, no problem. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up another spending account, right? And we're going to call it your travel fund. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drip from your reservoir $1,000 a month into your travel fund, which is more than the 10,000 annually. I said, and there's your travel fund. Please go see your parents once a year.
That matters.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of having the money, is
Right.
that you get to do the things you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And you talked about it, David, at the beginning, sort of the shifting the, what is it, shifting the neuroses, I guess, right? The neuroses from saving to spending and
Yeah.
spending
Well,
back over to
akin to what
savings.
Mary was just saying, you know, we are on default, right? And the spending is automated because of all the stuff in the world that makes it easy to consume.
All the tech, all of the tech right now wants you to spend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So all we're doing is automating the good, not the bad. So we're just flipping everything on its head and
sure.
automating the savings and automating all the good.
Yeah, well, and I think there's a component of empowerment there that I think is hard to overlook. It's like one of the things that I've found over the years is that the people that are in the worst positions that we can actually go save, like we can help you, we can solve this problem. They never take our advice because they don't trust themselves anymore. They've
Mm-hmm.
seen themselves make bad decisions over and over and over again. And they're like, I know I got to get out of this. I don't know how I'm going to go do it. Even if this guy can, like, is, figuring out how to print money, I'm not doing it because I don't trust myself to make the
Mm-hmm.
decision. And so seeing somebody that couldn't save $10 and then a year later saved 144,000, that shifts a mindset to, wait a minute, I am powerful. I can go do these things. I can do hard things. I can make adulting choices and it's actually fun. It's
Yeah.
not, I didn't eat ramen for 365 days.
Yeah. You
Mhm.
know, we all feel like we're on a treadmill at some level if you don't have the right
Yeah.
structure. And I say this all the time to clients is like they always think that well, when I earn more money, then I'll be able to do this.
Yep.
And
Oh, then you're just going to spend more money.
the reality is you can't get off the treadmill just by running faster.
Right.
So
Yes.
You can't
and
outrun your
so
diet.
and if you think about it, it's the small little incremental changes because let's say your income's $100,000 a year, and let's say you got a 4% cost of living raise, and now your income's 104,000. Well, guess what? That $4,000 after taxes may only equate to like 120 bucks per pay cycle.
Mhm.
Right.
Like that is easily just evaporating from your life.
Literally
Well,
eaten. You can go to the restaurant one time.
yeah, I mean, I just bought lunch. It was $27 for lunch.
Mhm.
It's crazy how expensive things are. So we just got to put our money in its place. And I would say this to your audience: if you feel like you are living paycheck to paycheck, you still need to set this up.
You especially
Because
need to
even if
set
you're
that
gonna,
up.
if every dollar that comes into your new reservoir and goes out, right? Even if the difference is $1, what'll happen is now you're going to be connected in a way that all the positive life events are going to work in your favor because you're going to get raises and you're going to get promotions and you're going to have more awareness of what's happening in your checking account and you'll make some lifestyle choices because you will see those possibilities that Eric was just talking about. You'll see opportunities because of the power that you have as somebody who's building wealth or has human value in this world, and
Right.
you will grow into a better version of yourself. I promise you that. You can thank me later.
I love it.
Well, it changes
So,
that reticular activator system that we talk about.
I love that the shift is sort of automatic into a place where there is success, right? If you're and I think regardless of how good of a saver you are, I think this is still very powerful because
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that I've been a really good saver my entire life. And most of that I've been able to accomplish by tricking myself, right? There's always a new pair of shoes I want to buy. If there's money in my account, I can find something to spend it on.
So if you're a good saver, that's great. Now because you're starting life on second base, right?
Right.
And so when you're a good saver, it's more about creating this connected cash flow structure to have everything that you have on your entire life, your entire balance sheet working together. Because then what you can do is create some more efficiency and momentum. It's
Right.
about connecting everything and using, taking advantage of the utility of all the money that you have in your life.
Mhm.
You can create more power and be in more choice. So
I love it.
it's
So
it's about momentum at that point.
So Currence
Right.
is a software, right? It's not really an account, although it involves maybe restructuring a little bit of what you're doing. But what you described earlier actually seemed really easy to me, David,
Yeah.
right? It's not, you don't have to change your bank account. You don't have to change your savings account. You don't really have to change anything other than this one space between your paycheck and
Yeah.
your spending account, right? It's
Yeah.
just creating that one space. So if someone's like, okay, hey, I can do that. And the idea that I could go from not saving to saving a giant amount of money in a very short period of time, How does one go about getting Currence?
Yeah. So you have to get it through a certified current strategist, which Mary and Eric, you both are. So if you guys have interest in getting started with Currents, I suggest you reach out to Mary and Eric. But all you have to do is when somebody raises their hand, they want to get involved with Currents, you guys just send them an invite and they can download the mobile app on their phone. They're going to open up that reservoir account. And I want to be clear, that's the client's account. It's FDIC insured up to 6 million on a joint account, and it earns a high interest rate. And that's the intermediary. That's what when you open that account, the first thing you do is you reroute your direct deposit to now go to your new cash flow reservoir.
Well, and I think it's really important to state here too, the advisor is not getting paid on your reservoir account. That's not a thing that's happening. There's no alternative reason to do this.
It's the client's account. And what you're doing is choosing the financial professional that you want to work with and sharing your data with them, right? So that your advisor can be the best version of themselves in your life, because they're going to have better metrics, better analytics on who you are and where the opportunities are. So,
well, how many times have we heard people say, I wish my advisor came to me with more ideas, right? Or I wish my advisor would come and give me some different solutions that maybe they aren't talking about. And I think one of the things that I have seen with Currents is that if somebody doesn't have that and they are saving money in another account, I have no idea, right? And so they may have accumulated $50,000 that's sitting in a checking account doing absolutely nothing for them. And that could have a strategic place to go that could start creating additional income for them immediately. But if I don't know it's there, I can't proactively say, hey, it's time to take the next step. Whereas if someone is already saving more because they're using the Currents program, and I know that when we hit certain numbers, the client would like a phone call. Like if I've got 20 grand sitting in my account, call me because I'd like to do something big picture with it. Then
or you can just press a button and move it into your investment portfolio.
There you go.
Right.
So, because it's all
easier.
Connected. It's all connected. So at the end of the day, our users, all they need to do is download the mobile app, reroute their direct deposit into their new reservoir. They're going to connect it simultaneously to their checking accounts where they spend, and then just choose how much money, we call it the spending baseline, how much money goes to your checking account for you to live the life that you're living right now. And that's the starting point, and then you will grow from there.
Amazing. Simple. Easy.
That's so awesome.
Automatic. That to me is the beautiful part of it, because I feel like we all get pulled in so many different directions. If we don't have to think about it and it happens automatically, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Decision fatigue is a real thing. So.
Well, David, I think you're brilliant, and I have so much gratitude to you for creating this software program and for sharing it with us, because I think it's going to change a lot of lives, not just our clients, but for anyone who is using the program. If you are interested in the Currents program and how it might work for you, you can reach out to either Eric or me. Eric, where can they find you?
At Economics with Eric, wherever you use social media. What about you?
You can find me at The Wealth Woman. And David, I just want to take a minute again to thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks, David.
And for sharing Currents with our audience, because this to me is a huge difference maker. It plays a big role in changing the mindset from spending to savings. And it is the baseline, the foundation that makes everything else that we do possible. So thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your life's work with us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the platform. I appreciate all that you guys are doing, and look forward to working with your audience.
Thanks, David.
All right. Take care.
Specific financial concepts and advanced strategies are presented to you for educational purposes only. We cannot and do not guarantee their applicability to your individual circumstance. We encourage you to seek personalized advice from qualified professionals on all financial matters.
Provided content is for overview and is not intended and should not be relied upon as individualized tax, legal, fiduciary, or investment advice. Neither Wealth Woman, Acorn Grove, or the Wealth and Income Podcast, nor their representatives provide tax or legal advice. For answers to specific questions and before making any decision, please consult a qualified attorney or tax advisors.
All numeric examples and any individual shown are hypothetical and were used for explanatory purposes only. Actual results may vary.
Investing involves risk, which includes potential loss of principal. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Life insurance should be purchased by individuals that have a need to provide a death benefit to protect others with insurable interests in their lives against financial loss. Life insurance is not a retirement plan, investment, or savings account.
Not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or any governmental agency. Insurance and investment products, not a deposit, not FDIC or NCUA insured, not insured by any federal government agency, not guaranteed by any bank or credit union, may lose value.
Please visit the Wealth Woman website disclosure page for other important disclosures.